Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week: You've Been Cancelled, issue number 1 from Mad Cave Studios. Now, this is written by Curt Pyers with artwork by Kevin Castanero and Jason Wordie on the coloring, Micah Myers on the lettering. I had so much freaking fun with this book. It had everything that I loved. A wacky, fun, interesting concept and dynamic, energetic art filled with grit and texture. And I know that y'all know me. Those are my favorite things in artwork: is energy, dynamism, splatter, texture, grit. It's all in this insanely fun book with really cool artwork, great coloring, solid lettering, just a well put together comic book that is super fun. Let me tell you what it's about. The year is 2040. And if someone does something that causes something like some commotion on social media, let's say somebody's about to be canceled, you know how we cancel people in society? Okay, well, they've turned that into like a reality TV show where they send assassins after you to literally cancel you, to kill you, right? And there's this very Cable-like dude who's like old, but he's a veteran. He's grizzled, and he's like the ranked #1 assassin on this You've Been Cancelled show, but he's got a whole bunch of people after him now. This was so much fun. A book that does not take itself so seriously, but it does have some thematic material in there a little bit, but for the most part, it's just a violent, fun, insane ride, and that's what I love in comics. Art like this, stories like this, boldness like this. So it gets the pick of the week. You've Been Cancelled, #1 from Mad Cave Studios, Curt Pyers and company. From DC, let's get to Steelworks, a new Steel book, kinda. I guess the basic premise of this book is that Steel is not going to be Steel anymore. He's operating Steelworks to work along with the Super family with the new War World technology to reignite the futuristic metropolis. And that's a cool enough concept. Michael Dorn is a co-writer here, if not the sole writer. He is the sole writer. Why is Michael Dorn the writer of this? I guess because he's Worf and he was the voice of Steel on the Superman animated series. But the book itself was kind of clunky, and it didn't really kick off with any kind of cool action, and it was just kind of there, and it plodded along, and it was mostly just like telling us like this new vision Steel has, but it didn't actually show us too much, and I don't know, it just kind of felt a little dull, a little lackluster for me. Then we got Flash 800, a giant celebration of Wally West. So you got some of the best creators from Wally's past runs back to tell some new stories, right? First of all, you got Jeremy Adams wrapping up his run with a really fun story that reminded me of that Batman animated series episode, Almost Got Him, where a bunch of rogues are sitting around talking about how, oh, we don't go to Metropolis because of this, and we don't go to Gotham because of Batman, but nobody goes to Central City, and there's this dude like, oh yeah, well, and it's a really cool story. I thought that was great. There's a Mark Waid Impulse story in here with artwork by Todd Knock. That was cool. There is a Joshua Williamson story in there where it looks like Carmine DeJohn-Domenico. There is a Scott Collins, Jeff Johns story bringing back Zoom, so that's rather exciting. And then you've got the Mike Deodato, Cy Spurrier story at the end that launches into the next Flash run that starts like next month or two or something like that. So Flash 800, a really cool celebration. My favorite thing about it is it's only $5. You know, DC usually turns these milestone issues into like $10, $12 things, and they didn't there, and I really applaud them for that. Then we got Batman 136, Chip Zdarsky, continuing some of the stuff that's been set up from the end of the last arc. Batman's got like not just one Zur-En-Arrh Batman trapped in him now, but like a multitude of them from across the multiverse, and it's a really interesting concept, and the way that it's cranking itself up and we're seeing kind of the psychological ramifications on Batman, that's great. The one thing I didn't like about this book was the art, and we've been spoiled on this book with Jorge Jimenez. So like Hawthorne didn't work for me, and this one, it's Ortega. Baleen Ortega, I don't know. I mean, it's decent and it's fine, but it's just kind of average. And this is your #1 book, DC. This is your best-selling comic. This is your bread and butter. come on. You can't follow up Jorge Jimenez with art that's just kind of mediocre because it's going to make it look worse because Jimenez is freaking awesome. Then we got Shazam issue number 2. I really did like issue number 1. I liked issue number 2 better. First of all, Psycho Pirate, one of my favorite DC villains that nobody else seems to ever give proper love and respect to unless there's a crisis event going on, which I appreciate that. But the way that Dan Mora draws him is absolutely fantastic. There's a little tease at the end building into Night Terrors, but Dan Mora's artwork here, it is the star of the show. Mark Waid's doing a great job with the character. It's an interesting enough story. Something's happening to Shazam to make him act out of character and go completely like rage-filled, like out of nowhere, right? And he thinks the Psycho Pirate's up to it, and then of course they have to tussle about it, but great artwork, solid superhero action. That's from Shazam. Then we got Poison Ivy issue number 13. I like this issue too. It has a bunch of different artists, and the artwork does seem a bit inconsistent, but it kind of works within the structure of the story. So Poison Ivy is back in Gotham now, trying to nest up with Harley Quinn, and she can't just go back to Gotham and not have, like, Batman try to come up against her, right? So, like, Kelly Jones, this is Batman, like, her reintroduction to Batman since returning to Gotham. Gillian March does this bit with Catwoman. There's some of the Kelly Jones stuff right there. Then, what else? There's the Killer Croc bit. So it's just basically Pamela's back in Gotham, and she left a lot of cords dangling, so now she's got to, like, kind of connect those again or try to take care of those. But it's a solid book. G. Willow Wilson's been keeping me entertained for 13 issues on Poison Ivy. There's a really awesome Sweeney Boom variant cover for that, and I don't know why I didn't grab that one, because it's just ass, and I like that. Anyway, Adventures of Superman, John Kent, issue number 4. This one was alright. This is a cool enough story, but I don't have a super close connection to Injustice, right? And I've never really been sold on Jonathan Kent as a character once they aged him up. Like, I remember when they did that with Franklin Richards back in the day in the Fantastic Four, and I was all for it, but I was like 12, 13 years old, wanting to be a teenager, but there's an innocence that's lost by aging him up that is never reconnected to me. There's something about it. But that also, more so, I should say. I'm just not that connected to the Injustice world, but that's what this is. Jonathan Kent out there in the multiverse, in the Injustice world, coming to terms with the fact that his dad's in this world not really a good dude, or maybe he is. He's kind of confused. It's all back and forth. Damian's Nightwing now. He's trying to reconnect. There's all this, and it's all right. It's solid. It's decent. But this is the weakest issue so far for me. So I don't know. However, Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 11, the penultimate issue, loved it, loved it. After some major revelations in the last issue, which was, it feels like it was 4 months ago, we're back with the almost last issue, and I'm having a lot of fun with this book. Putry's artwork is absolutely amazing. The story structure, the pace of it is scintillating. It's actually very quickly, briskly paced. It's a joy to read, and there's a lot of, I'm not spoiling things, because some people may not read this until after it's all done, but after the revelations of the last issue, they continue to develop that and shock us with other revelations. So I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. 1 issue to go. We'll see what happens. Then we got Peacemaker Tries Hard, issue number 2. I loved the first issue of this, and I loved the second issue of this. Kyle Starks is doing a great job of taking that James Gunn flavor from the Peacemaker show and applying it into comics. This is great. So this gorilla dude that rolls around with, I think, the Ultra Human Knight, he's on a mission with Peacemaker. It is ridiculous. It is so much fun. It is absolutely insane. I love this character. It's goofy. It's silly. It is just like the tone of that show. If you like the Peacemaker show, do not miss this book. This is the next best thing you have until that show returns. I promise. Let's jump over to Marvel. We got Loki, issue number 1. I got that Frank Miller variant because why not? Why not? Now, I'll be honest. That Frank Miller Moon Knight 25 variant about to be coming out, that looks pretty freaking awesome. Anyway, Loki number 1, written by Dan Watters. We recently had Dan on the show. He talked a little bit about this book. Be sure to check out that conversation if you missed it. But this was awesome. Dan Watters, is a really complex writer, and he's got some complex themes going on in here, but it's a very accessible read. It catches you up on the history of Loki, his current situation. It sets up this really interesting story where Loki in mythology built this giant ship out of like fingernails that's like cursed, and it's going to be the ship he rides to Ragnarok. Well, somebody tries to steal it, and Thor's like, bro, you gotta go take care of this, right? So I loved this book. The use of the words in the story, the framing of the story, how the story unfolds itself and it turns a little bit towards the end. I absolutely love this. Plus you have Herman Peralta on the artwork, which is just beautiful. Beautiful, splendid. This was such a good book. I'm telling y'all, somebody at Marvel, somebody is making some good decisions on what creators to put on certain books. Whoever's doing that, station for sure. Then we got Deadpool, Battered Blood, issue number 1, Rob Liefeld returning to the character he created and helped make popular, Deadpool. Bad Blood was okay. I always like seeing what Rob's up to these days. His artwork isn't quite at the level that it was back in the day, and I know everybody has their opinions on Rob Liefeld. Me personally, I am a fan because I love someone who's got a bold, unique style and like leans heavily into it. That being said, this was actually not that bad of an issue. I enjoyed it. It was a cool enough continuation of Bad Blood. The artwork's a bit stiff at times. Pages like this, don't really do much for me. Big splash page, but it's supposed to be a big reveal. Just doesn't have the power. But then there's other pages like that one that I just adore. And I look at a page like that and I'm like, well, Rob still got it. He still got it when he wants to get it. Just feels like sometimes he just doesn't want to get it, and he's still doing the centerfold thing, which that's dope. I like feeling like I'm reading a dirty magazine when I'm reading a comic book. Anyway, Deadpool, Battered Blood, issue number 1 is out this week. Fantastic Four is here with issue number 8, and I really liked this issue. I do not like the lettering in this book. They're doing that Ultimates lettering where it's all like, I don't know, like lowercase letters, like I guess proper, it's not all capitalized. I don't like that. I don't know why. It just feels... It rings false to me, inauthentic in a way. I do not like the coloring in this book. It is overly bright and plasticky that I just don't like the coloring. The line work is fine. The storytelling is fine. The story was really cool in this one. It is kind of similar in the last issue. They kept forgetting letters of the alphabet. In this one, they're forgetting people. There's this mystery going on, but the way it builds up and then ends was actually really cool. So it's not the greatest Fantastic Four run, 7 issues in, 8 issues in, but it is a pretty solid Fantastic Four run. I just wish the art was a little bit better, to be honest with you. Then we got Red Goblin here with issue number 5, part 4 of Carnage Reigns, part 4 of 7, written by Alex Paknadel, continuing right where we last left off. So if you're reading the Carnage and the Miles crossover, you do want to read this. Normie does get involved, but there's some cool little tidbits here and there that are done. I'm liking this book. I like these exploration on the legacy of evil and how that's affecting even a young child like Normie and how it's being complicated by bonding with this new symbiote called Rascal and trying to find this identity, the two of them together. That's really cool. Usually it's kind of annoying when a crossover happens, when a book's trying to find its footing, but it actually kind of works here and it feels like it fits. Maybe because Alex and Cody are the ones that are doing it. Alex is doing Carnage. So there you go. Anyway, I liked that book. Then we got Daredevil, issue number 12. I think this is Chip Zdarsky's best issue of Daredevil that he's done. And I know that there's high praise for Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, me included. There have been times where it's lagged a little bit for me, but for the most part, I really enjoy his run. This was his best issue. He completely understands Matt and his mission. He completely understands Elektra and her connection to Matt. He understands it. He understands it, and it's utilized, and Marco Cicchetto's artwork is gorgeous. Gorgeous in this. Absolutely stunning and a really solid ending. What a hell of an issue of Daredevil. And when you're reading it, you're in the first few pages, you're like, I don't get it. This is just kind of exposition-y. Get past those first couple pages, then get into this story. This is amazing. This was almost pick of the week. That was almost pick of the week. Let's jump over to Image. And from Image, we have In Hell We Fight #1, a new Image comic from John Layman with artwork by Jock. Not the Jock like the Batman artist, maybe it's Joke or something, but I like the artwork. It's got this nice like underground kind of vibe to it. This was a very fun story. It starts off, this kid, he hates frogs, he kills every frog he knows, he pisses off this giant frog god, and then he gets killed and sent to hell. And you're like, what's going on? And this story is about a group of kids living in hell after being killed. And it's absolutely ridiculously fun. I had so much fun with this book. John Layman bringing that Layman flair. If you're familiar with things like Chew and stuff, you kind of know what to expect from a Layman book. But it's got some really funny kind of stuff. And like, for instance, these 3 kids, they're just hanging around, but they're acting like kids. They just happen to be in hell with demons and stuff, right? And they're trying to like hijack this demonic ice cream truck that leads to a situation that's revealed at the end of this book that really sets the tone, or I should say the direction for where we're going to go in this story. I had a lot of fun with this. Kooky fun, really cool artwork, zany. That's the kind of stuff I like. I Hate This Place, issue number 9 of I Hate This Place. This book, which was a really cool story, supernatural, ghosts and monsters, has gone completely science fiction now. We got time travel. We got alien stuff in the midst of all of the ghostly, supernatural, monstery stuff. I'm loving what Kyle Starks is doing in this, with just blending these genres, having it be not predictable, having me be like, whoa, I didn't think that we were going there, and I didn't believe that we were going to go in this direction. And I really like this book. I'm very attached to the characters now, 9 issues in, but the way that the story keeps twisting and turning and genre melding and blending, absolutely freaking fantastic. Then we got Spawn here with issue 342, kind of a big deal issue of Spawn. Once again, a lot of explanation, but meanwhile, while Spawn and Haunt are up in heaven, Sin's full plan as to why he's manipulating things in a certain way comes into view. Now, we know a little bit of it, but there are some revelations here, some moments where you realize that things are not going Al's way. I liked this. I enjoyed it. It felt like an issue of Spawn to get kind of back on track a little bit more into the direction, and I really appreciated it, so I thought it was good. Then we got Phantom Road, issue number 4. It was a decent, solid issue. Your typical Jeff Lemire type stuff. Great artwork from Gabriel Hernandez Walta, but this one just hasn't completely connected to me 4 issues in like some of the other work from Jeff Lemire, like for instance, say, Trillium or Royal City. Now, obviously, those are books that he did the artwork for himself, but even something like The Boneyard or The Bone Orchard Mythos with Sorrentino, the stuff with Dustin Nguyen, like Descender, which hit me immediately. This is a cool book. I like the story, but it just feels a bit thin right now. But there are elements that are being developed that feel like they're going to be way more important. So some things are coming together, but this is definitely a slow burn. But do remember, I thought Little Monsters was a bit of a slow burn, and it really ramped up. And I think in hindsight, that was an expertly structured and paced story. So who knows where we'll go on the Phantom Road, but I know that I trust Jeff Lemire to take me there. Then we got The Ambassadors, issue number 6, the final issue for now. There is going to be another volume coming, and that is set up here, but this is an incredibly satisfying conclusion to Volume 1 of The Ambassadors. This book is cool. It's about this Korean woman. She's developed the idea or the ability to give people superpowers. There's a superpower bank, and she can connect certain people to it, and they can pick one of the superpowers from it, right? But no two can use the same at the same time. There is a rival group of supervillains that we were introduced to. This is a big frickin' fight. I loved it. The origins of our main character a little bit more developed. Matteo Scalera on the artwork. Frickin' beautiful, gorgeous, dynamic, frickin' solid. Oh, don't want to show you that page. There is gore, there is vital. Don't want to show you that page. Don't want to show you that page. There's a lot of pages here I can't show you because it will spoil some real fun, cool stuff. But I loved the artwork, and honestly, this might be my favorite issue of The Ambassadors so far. It was one of the best books of the week. Another one of the best books of the week is Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, which is here with issue number 6. This issue is nothing but fucking. That's what's going on in this book. Seriously. And I'm all for it. Like, I loved this book. I don't think I can show you a page from this book. And I wasn't kidding when I said what this book was about. That is what this book is about. This is a sex-oriented issue that I am all here for. 100%. It was hot. It's romantic. It's cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed certain of the ideas of representation that's done in here too. So I thought that this was really a solid issue of what's been a solid series. Jason Aaron and company have been doing a great job. Layla Del Duca on the artwork. But basically, you know, these two kids, these two teenagers or whatever, they wind up meeting. Can't show you that page. Can't show you that page. I can't show you that page. I can show you. I can't show you that one. I can show you that page. Anyway, love the artwork, love the story, great structure, and it builds a lot of their connection that they make after the first arc. It builds a lot in a little space, and it tells a lot and gets us set up for what's to come. I freaking love that book. If you're sex positive, you're going to really like that book. Dahlia in the Dark, issue number 6. This came out last week, but we finally got a copy of it. The final issue of Joe Corallo's fantasy crime fiction. I loved the way this ended. Joe doesn't spoon feed you stuff. He allows you to develop your own ideas about the story and connect the dots together. And I thought this was a very satisfying ending. And now I'm looking forward to grabbing up all the issues and reading them together all in one sitting, because I love Joe's work when it's read that way. Dahlia in the Dark, issue number 6. Then we got Breath of Shadows, issue number 5, the final issue of the Rich Douek, Alex Cormack series. I really liked it. Now, I wasn't as sold on this book as I was their previous collaborations, like Road of Bones or what's the other, Sea of Sorrows. This one took a moment to really warm up, but this book in the last couple issues has gotten really freaking chaotic and gnarly. And this was the most chaotic and gnarly issue yet, and I absolutely loved the ending. So if you've been sticking with this book, you will not be let down by that ending. We got a new one from AWA. This is Sins of the Salton Sea. I liked this book. This book was really freaking cool. It was written by Ed Brisson with artwork by, is it C.P. Hall? Maybe? C.P. Smith. C.P. Smith. I love the presentation of this book. I like the story. It's crime fiction. It's about this dude. He's gotten out of the game, and this is about the Sons of the Salton Sea or something like that. Like, there's this whole bit in the end that I read, and I didn't even really know about this Salton Sea stuff. Somebody was mentioning it to me earlier today, so I like that. But anyway, this dude used to live a life of crime. He got out of that life of crime. This dude's coming in. He's like, hey, man, one last ride, one last job, and it goes south. And it really does, but it's got a great pace. It's got some great characterization. It's got great dialogue. It's got a great sense of composition. In the back, C.P. Smith says that he wanted to have fun with this book. So anything that wasn't fun or was stressful, he just kind of took it out and just wanted to just kind of have a nice, easy breezy time, but still putting in the work, focusing in on the storytelling. And it looks amazing, bro. This is absolutely fantastic work. I don't know what you cut out, but less is more, I guess, in the case of that book. I liked it a lot. Traveling to Mars is here with issue number 6. I have never seen a space battle done like this. So that's really cool. Mark Russell doing a great story. It's introspective. It's about this dude, sad dude, reliving all the sad times in his life, but at the same time, we're feeling a little bit of hope for humanity in the midst of the despair. He's on his way to Mars. He's got people following him now. How's he going to take care of that situation? Mark Russell's killing it with this book. Killing it with this book, with thematically, character-wise, and story-wise. Just every issue hits. And every issue hits pretty hard. So Traveling to Mars, issue number 6. Definitely got my seal of approval. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter, issue number 1 from IDW. What do you expect this book to be? I'm going to ask you this question. You need to ask yourself before you read this book, what do you expect this book to be? Do you expect this book to be silly? Do you expect this book just to be like, hey, let's get these two properties together, make some money, see if we can get some brand synergy going on, launch some new toys, and just tell a satisfying, fun story? Or are you expecting it to be stupid, dumb, and irredeemable? Well, depending on what you're expecting out of this book, that might be what you take away from it. I'll tell you what I took away from this book. I had a lot of fun seeing characters from two of my favorite franchises from the 90s, Street Fighter and Turtles. Now, I know Turtles is from the 80s, but into the 90s, okay? it took me back. It took me back. This book is really fun. Chun-Li versus Michelangelo, Guile versus Raphael. I mean, that's all this book is. It's all it's trying to be. This book is not trying to be anything other than what it is. And what it is cool enough. Then we got By the Horns, Dark Earth, issue number 9. I am still loving this book. One of my favorite fantasy books out there on shelves. And I'm not that big of a fantasy fan, but the team on this, Marcus-san and Jason, they know exactly what they're doing. They're building up the intensity, not really, or should I say they're building up the intensity of the climax of this story. This book has really had a meticulous pace building up to something, and you feel it. You can feel everything get... Oh, can't show you that page. I think there's a booby on there. But really cool stuff. A bunch of different factions, a bunch of different story threads coming together, building up to a conclusion for now. I want this book to go on forever and ever and ever because I love this world. I love the imagination of these creators, and I love these characters. All right. Smell of the Week and Cover of the Week goes to Disney Villains Maleficent issue number 2. This is the cover by Jennifer L. Meyer. I love that cover. There are a lot of cool covers for Maleficent issue 1 and issue 2, but that one, there's just something about the composition. I love the dragon form. I love green and purple. Those are really cool colors together for me. They pop. It always reminds me of like the Joker and Green Goblin, Lex Luthor and stuff. I freaking love this issue, too. Sue Lee is doing a great job. A masterclass in just solid, simple storytelling. It's not a complex story. It's a rather simple story, but it's told with gorgeous artwork, amazing coloring, solid composition, excellent spotting of blacks, a great use of the character Maleficent. I am on board. Out of all of the Disney stuff that Dynamite's been doing, 2 issues in, Maleficent's proven to be one of my favorites. I love this, and I got to give all the credit to Sue Lee. So Maleficent, really liking it. Cover of the Week and Smell of the Week. That book smelled good. By the Horns, Dark Earth continues to have rich imagination. TMNT versus Street Fighter was fun for what it was. Traveling to Mars number 6, Mark Russell keeps killing it there. Sins of the Salton Sea really impressed me. I like that a lot. Breath of Shadows, what a chaotic, crazy-ass ending that I absolutely loved. Dahlia in the Dark, congrats, Joe. You did another one, and it's fantastic, so thank you for that. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, just a bunch of getting it down in that book, man. It's a bunch, like, whew, hot in here. The Ambassadors number 6, best issue yet, explosive finale to Volume 1. Phantom Road feels like it's lacking something, but I trust Jeff Lemire. Spawn does what Spawn does, and I'm excited for that. I Hate This Place. What a wild ride that book's been. I love it. In Hell We Fight. Good, silly fun. I like that a lot. Daredevil, best issue of Chip Zdarsky's run yet. Red Goblin, an essential part of the Carnage Unleashed story, but Alex knows what he's doing with those characters. Fantastic Four, really solid story, but the art just needs to... There's something about that art. Deadpool, Battered Blood, not as bad as you might fear it might be. Loki, Dan Waters, Herman Peralta, doing it the best way possible. Challenging while being accessible. Really great stuff there. Peacemaker tries hard. It doesn't feel like this book has to try hard to be awesome, because it is. Dark Knights of Steel continuing to excite me. Adventures of Superman, John Kent losing me just a little bit. Poison Ivy, another solid issue from G. Willow Wilson. Shazam, amazing artwork anchored by some really solid superhero storytelling. Batman, great story. Step the art up on Batman for these fillers. Flash, 800, a great celebration of Wally West from some of his best creators. Steelworks, a little bland, but You've Been Canceled, number 1, the pick of the week. Why? It's got everything I like. An interesting concept, an interesting character, and the artwork is dynamic, and it's kinetic, and it's filled with texture and grit. There you go. That's what I read. That's what I thought. That's what I dug. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. And be sure to check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast blogs and a lot more. And you can support the channel at patreon.com/PCP. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I've been rocking Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop. Boom.